Hi there, my name is Darren Harkin. I'm a local filmmaker, writer, and an animator. And the, this is my last video for Bluebell Arts Derry. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about The Listener by Robert Arbuckle and Stephen McCool, which I provided the animation for. So, I hope you enjoy.
The Listener. This poem was written by Robert Arbuckle after hearing the music that accompanied the words, and was also written by Stephen McCool. This piece is about how music affects us as we listen to it, how it makes us feel, how we move and react emotionally as well as physically. It also speaks about the incredible humans have to be creative through music and the connection between sound, nature, and the universe. In April, the music and words had already been created by Robert Arbuckle and Stephen McCool. They were just keen to put together a visual to the music and words, and coincidentally, I messaged them at the time they were looking for someone to do the video. So then I was asked to put together this 2-minute video with an animation. Robert then later sent me the first draft of the Listener audio, and I listened to it over and over so I could picture it and see what I could come up with in my head and what this might look like. I then began to experiment with my camera, taking pictures of myself using the 10-second timer on my Nikon to take photos. I tried this several times, but it did not work out well. Because I had to be the subject the camera was pointed at, and realistically, during lockdown, no one else in my house wanted to get their picture taken. It had to be me as the subject. And again, the only other piece of technology I had to use was my Samsung camera phone. It was useful to use as it could take good quality pictures. With this, at least I could take a photo of myself without setting the timer and moving quickly to the front of the camera. Another useful option with this smartphone was it gave me the option to flip the screen back and forth. So if I wanted to take an image directly at my feet or of me moving across the room, I was able to do so whilst holding the phone itself and having my eye directly on the picture when it was being taken. It worked the same way in the other direction when the camera was pointed at my face. I used this for pictures where I was making different faces in the images, like anxious, happy, sad, anything I could put in there. Robert also helped me by sending over some inspiration ideas of what he might want the video itself to look like, which was nothing really overcomplicated, just a simple music video of moving art images, something that replicates sound waves and images, like the animated music video, The Arctic Monkeys, Do I Want to Know? That's the example he gave me, along with a few others. At least then I had an idea from what to work from, and then I could portray this on screen in my animation. Once I had all these pictures to use for my animation, the pictures I had taken with my camera phone, I had uploaded them to my computer and then put them in a file together in my documents and my desktop where I could find them, and then look through to see what I needed when I began the project. Also, just to clarify, these are just videos and examples and reconstructions of what I did do in my project, because originally in my project there was 315 photographs to go through to make the main animation, just to make sure I'm not confusing anyone with this recording or this video. So once all my images were gathered for creating the animation, I then opened up Photoshop, and what I wanted to do in Photoshop is trace over the photograph. So to get started with Photoshop, I opened click file in the menu at the top of the screen, and then
clicked open again, selected the image or images, and clicked on layer in the menu, click on duplicate layer, and clicked on OK. You can click on it to give it a new name, otherwise it would be just called copy. And click on the duplicate layer itself in the layers window. It's in the lower part of the screen. Click on the padlock at the top of the layers window and lock the layer. Click on new and click on new layer. Name that layer tracing and click OK. Click on the layer labelled background in the layers window. Fill the background with a white background colour. Now you should have about 3 layers in the layers window. A, the tracing layer at the top, a lock layer with your image in the middle, and a locked white background at the bottom. If they're not in order, just rearrange them any way you like then.
Click on tracing layer at the top of the window. Choose a colour to start tracing in. To do so, click on the one overlapping squares in the colour menu in the upper right part of the screen. Then click on the colour in the spectrum below the squares. Click on the other square and then click on the same colour. Black and white are at the far end of the spectrum. Choose a tool in the menu at the left side of the window. Pencil tool or brush tool. Begin tracing. Use your mouse or trackpad to move the tool over the lines you want to trace. To use the pencil or brush tools, click and hold as you drag the tool over the lines. Release the click and move the tool and start a new stroke. To use the pen tool, click and release along the lines of the image you're tracing while it will appear between each set of points. Curved lines, greater detail require more clicks. Then hide the original image to see how your work is progressing. Click on the eye icon next to the middle layer that contains the original image. The image will disappear and you'll see tracing on the white background. When you're finished, click on the view in the menu bar, then click 100% to view your image in its actual size, and then save your image. Every time I finished tracing these pictures, I removed the photograph that was left. Every time I finished tracing these pictures, I then removed the photograph. What was left was the tracing of the photograph itself. It then looked like an animation, which is something I wanted to achieve with this method of creating an animation. I then clicked on the filter tool to change the appearance of the photograph, just to make it look a lot less like it did in the photograph. You can apply the filter tool to an active layer or to a smart object. Filters applied to a smart object are non-destructive and can be readjusted at any time. Do one of the following. To apply the filter in the entire layer, make sure the layer is active or selected. To apply the filter to an area of a layer, select that area. To apply the filter non-destructively, so you can change the filter settings later, select the smart object that contains image content you want to filter. Choose a filter from the sub-menus in the filter menu. If no dialog box appears, the filter effect is applied. If a dialog box or the filter gallery appears, enter values or select options and click OK. Once I've had finished flattening all the layers, when you flatten layers in Adobe Photoshop Creative Suite 6, the program combines all the visible layers into a background. Photoshop deletes hidden layers and fills transparent areas with white. Flatten is usually reserved for when you're completely finished editing your image, which is a good way to make your file size smaller. So to flatten the Photoshop CS6 image, follow these steps. Ensure the layers you want to retain are visible. Photoshop CS6 discards are all hidden layers. Choose a layer, flatten the image, or select flattened image from the layers panel menu. The transparent areas of your flattened image are filled with background color and appear as a background layer in the layers panel. Photoshop CS6 doesn't prompt you with a warning like, are you sure you really want to do this? But if you mistakenly flatten your image, you can undo the command by choosing edit or undo. If you go ahead and perform another action, then undo your mistake using the history panel. However, if the flattening step is no longer in the history panel, there's no way then to undo the actual flattening. Do this especially if the finished photos are all separate. Make sure to flatten all those layers too. Save each time to your documents as JPEG or PNG. Exit all the projects and close down Photoshop.